hopefully there should be one where perfect. Yeah, I think this would be like a really good one just to kind of wrap up. Look at everything that we've learned, and then kind of jump into like what to do, how to do things, and so on and so forth. So I guess title of this, I don't know, I don't really like titles, but it's just like practical, like things you can do today. And what we, I'll come back to Slido, but what we want to look at today, I guess, is just like I think we're going to do a quick like quiz. I don't know, I don't want to say PA is going to give you a prize, but we're gonna we're gonna do a minor quiz just to kind of like recap, think about everything we've looked at. We'll kind of go through like some of the practical things that we can do for each of the topics that we did. So attitudes towards money, even thinking about what wealth looks like for us. We'd also look at saving, budgeting, so like where to store emergency funds, how to budget, like how does the budget actually work. So I don't know if you guys remember the template that I had, but I'm going to share that with you guys so you guys have access to that and to start using it. Invest in things like the different insurances that you can take out because that's also an investment, how to do recurring payments, and then just like tools that you can use to assess whether certain investments are good or not. And then lastly, we'll kind of wrap up with debt and credit. So like some Amex hacks. So I went through some of them last week, but like a actual deep dive of all the things that you can do on Amex. And then any like good credit cards to take out if you want to start building credit, and then just like different apps to use that can help out. But as usual, guys, I know and I know you're tired because I'm tired too. But if we can like get some cameras on, even if it's for one person, apart from PA, like if it's one person we can have. And I'm gonna say that I'm not gonna go forward until, and it can't be the same people. But maybe I'm asking for too much. I think I might be asking for too much. I think I am. Right. But yeah, so we will run through that. And again, please, like I know we normally spend quite a bit of time on like questions and like discussions and stuff. So also very happy to spend a bit more time on that. And then we can see how it goes from there. But just quickly, as everyone is here, I'm going to kind of jump onto the quiz part. So if everyone can log into this slido.com and then type in this code. Again, it's really short, but if we can, I think this is like a very good way for us to like learn and see like what we have been doing. And it's easier than just be talking at you guys, right? Than actually just being able to answer things for yourself. So if you can jump onto this link, I'll give you guys about a minute or so, just so that we don't take too much of the time that we have available. And then we can dive in. Oh, two cameras. That's nice. Hey, all right. Yeah. Cool. Let me see who's joined. Cool. We got 9 people, so quite a few. Oh, you guys can see the questions, but it's fine. So yeah, link is slido.com and then just type in the link that you have there. And then we'll really see the competitiveness of some of you. I know Oz is ready. Cool. We'll start in about 20 seconds. Most people are here anyway. Cool. So yeah, I think there are about, the thing is, there are 11 questions. Each question is like 15 seconds or so. And I think the faster you do it, I think the more points you get or something like that. So again, obviously get it right first, right? But I'll kick off now and then you guys can go through it. Cool. Cool. So first question is, which investment type is typically the riskiest? Is it stocks, bonds, ETFs, or savings accounts? Again, this is 15 seconds each, guys, so it's like very quick. Cool. So yes, stocks is the riskiest. But again, like we'll run through these anyway, so don't worry if you get them wrong. Second question is how can you make money on stocks? Is it interests, capital gains, dividends, or holding the stock for at least 3 years? Oh, interesting. So there's two answers here. Capital gains and dividends. Capital gains is just where you sell the stock for more, and dividends is the payments that companies give you every quarter or whatever. Third question: if interest rates rise, what will typically happen to bond prices? Will they rise, fall, or stay the same? Now this is tricky. Like it would actually show if you've been listening. What's the relationship between interest rates and bond prices? Interesting. Cool. So there's an inverse relationship. Interest rates rise, bond prices fall, and so on and so forth. For your initial investment amount is called your coupon, maturity, par value, or principal. Shout out the teachers in the house. But fantastic. Yeah, most of you got it right. Principal is the investment type. A diversified portfolio is good to have because it limits risk. It's a good predictor on rate of return. It increases risk and return, or it decreases risk. And the answer, of course, is decreases risk. Um, Putting regular amounts of money into an investment account over time is called compounding, dollar cost averaging, inflation, or diversification. Most of these are going to be from session two because it's the easiest one to make it practical. But yeah, compounding, dollar cost averaging, inflation, or diversification. Oh, no. Dollar cost averaging. Compounding is what happens when you put money in over time, but dollar cost averaging is actually the principle. Why is it important to save to start investing early? Is it you take less risk when you're young? Fees on investment are cheaper when you're younger. Investing is an easy way to make quick money, or you have more time for your money to compound. Perfect. Yeah, most of you just have more time for your money to compound. Items that you can provide to a lender to guarantee you will repay your debt is called character, collateral, capital, or conditions. Guys, I don't know if there's a prize here, by the way. Please speak to your pastor because it's not me that is going to fund it, but I'm sure your pastor will say that. Maybe. Who knows? um, cool. So, answer here is collateral. Yes, collateral is the answer. Final two questions or three questions is if you missed the 10 best trading days between 2003 and 2022, your investment would have roughly dropped from 65K to either 50, 40, 30, or 20K. So please, if you want to run to get your notes, it's by all means. Oh, sweet. Jeez, surprising. Cool, yeah, 30K. Yeah, I even forgot that, but fair play. Cool. Final two questions. Which is not an example of an ETF? Is it Vanguard S&P, LSC, FTSE 100, or FTSE 250? This is a bit of a trick question, but oh, okay, yeah, LSE. So London Stock Exchange is just the it's the stock exchange, whereas the rest are ETFs. But that's the cool. Final question is: who do credit card companies make the most money of? Is it transactors, hackers, revolvers, or no cards? And if you watched the Netflix documentary, then you think you'll know this. But if not, then I'm sorry. Fair play. Looks like some of you watched it. Yes, so revolver is the answer. So yeah, that was the last question. I think it should tell me scores or leaderboards. But yeah, BIM, EB, Toyin, Morphe. I mean, BIM. We'll give it to you. So, like I said, please message your pastor if you. I don't know, but um, but cool. That was just a bit of fun, but also it's not about winning. Yeah, it's about taking part. It's true, Sha. It's true. But anyway, I'm sure if you won, you'll anyway. But cool. Yeah, that's just a quick overview of, I guess, a couple of the things that we've looked at over the last 4 weeks. But I guess just a really quick recap. So first session was, I think, attitudes towards money. We looked at things like wealth in heaven, wealth on earth, the almost dichotomy between those, but we saw that it's possible to have both of them. We looked at the four attitudes, so being stewards, God being an investor, it taking time to build wealth, and ignorance not being bliss. We looked at the principles of money and finance, so giving, generosity, saving, and investing. And then lastly, we looked at why now is a really good time for us to kind of bring all of this together. And it's because we're now in a recession. It's because inflation is really high. It's because interest rates are also sky high. So just understanding how money works is probably a really prudent time to learn about it now. Second session, we looked at budgeting, saving, and investing. So we looked at the different types of budgets. We looked at the zero-based budgeting. We looked at the goal-based. We looked at different types of funds. So emergency fund. We covered sinking funds, which is just where you put money into a pot over time, and then that just fund grows over time, so you can use it for the desired expenses. We looked at the scripture Ecclesiastes 11 predominantly here, which spoke about how we don't know the conditions that are coming, so it's good for us to be as prudent as we can be, so that we can prepare as best for when those times do come. Then we looked at some of the principles around budgeting, saving, and investing, so compound interest, dollar cost averaging, diversification, and then we looked at the different types of asset classes. So remember, we said stocks is just where you become you become a shareholder and part of a company by owning some of those stocks. Bonds is almost IOUs that you buy and then you get a return back. And then the commodities are things like gold, silver, things that are good to hold in times of like recessions. And then we looked at ETFs. So ETFs being the collection or pool of stocks or bonds that you buy that help diversify your portfolio and allow you to get access to a lot of different companies by just investing into that one ETF. And then we looked at how to actually get started. So we looked at some platforms. I use Vanguard. I used Free Trade. We looked at Trading 212. There's a bunch of platforms that you can use out there. And then we looked at different account types. So things like ISAs, pensions, general accounts, all that good stuff. But that was a holistic nutshell of that week. And then last week, which was the penultimate week, we looked at debt and credit. And debt and credit being, we looked at the different types of debt. So secured and unsecured. Secured just means that it's debt that's attached to something that they can take away if you don't pay that debt, like a house, like a car. Whereas unsecured debt, there is no attachment to an asset or a good that they can take away if you don't pay your debt. We look to why now debt is everywhere, right? You go into JD, you shop on ASOS, you go into, I don't know, I'll be surprised if they don't start having debt at McDonald's, right? But debt is everywhere, right? And it's just about knowing how to use it to your advantage. We looked at the fact that debt compounds. So the same way that your investment can grow really fast over time, your debt can also grow really fast over time. And then we looked at why debt's important. So we looked at credit scores, the fact that credit scores are fundamentally based on debt, unfortunately. So you kind of need to know how it works. And then we looked at the warnings on debt that the Bible speaks about. So the Bible is super clear on, a borrower being a slave to the lender and the dangers of debt, but it also speaks a lot about usury, which is where people in those days would be charging quite high interest to other Christians, and that's what the Bible forbids. So those are a bunch of scriptures that we looked at in that session. And then we looked at, I guess, not good versus bad debt, but my personal opinion of bad debt versus debt that's not as bad. So bad debt being debt that you take out to buy liabilities that you can't afford. Again, liabilities being things that just take money out of your pocket, whereas assets being money that put money into your pocket. And then we looked at not as bad debt as maybe being debt that you use to increase earning capacity, or to increase cash flow, or to increase, like, for an investment, or to start a business, or these kind of things. So we kind of looked at the differences between bad debt and not as bad debt. But I hope that's like a good summary. Let me know if that makes sense. It doesn't make sense in the chat, or just some nods. Oh, I say nods, maybe a nod. Let me know. Cool. Sweet. Yeah, no, I can share we can, I'll chat to BA about how to share the slides, but yeah, totally. Not a problem. Cool. Sweet. Cool. So I guess, like, looking at like what we can do today, again, I'm going to try and leave a bit more time for like discussion and like Q&A. So I might finish around 9ish, 9:10, maybe a bit earlier, but just to kind of give a bit of time for you guys to discuss. I don't want to say Q&A because it's like you're asking me questions, but everyone's kind of learning from everyone, right? But cool. So first thing, this is less of what you can do today. So the way we're going to go through this session is every week. So for every week that we've covered something, we're going to kind of have like practical to-dos based on that week. The first week, attitudes towards money. Now, this is less of what you can do today, but more so like, what question can I answer today? And I honestly think a really good question is like, what does wealth look like for me? Or even like, what is, if I am to be wealthy, like, what would that look like for me? And I think this is a good question because I think it genuinely would really like help us keep very grounded. I think people always say, oh, like, because like, guys, let's be real. Like, if we had, I don't know, let's say 500K salary, like annual salary coming in every year, whether it's from a business or a side hustle or like a job or whatever, right? So a lot of people, that's not wealthy because that's not like millions. It's not multi-million, it's not billions, but 500K is what, 30, 40K a month? Like, are you going to tell me that you aren't financially free by living on 40K a month, right? And I think it's a good question because everyone's definition is so different. Like, what does wealthy mean for me? Like, what do I desire? Thinking, like, even asking the Lord, like, God, like, this is a potential desire that I have. Like, is it carnal? Is it bad? Is it good? But I think even just being able to ask ourselves, like, what does wealth look like for me? But I think it's really important that this isn't just like a carnal desire of, oh, I want to be wealthy so that I can buy a lot of nice things and, go on holiday and buy this nice car and buy a nice house. Like, these things are fine, but it can't just be about carnal.
Damola, we can't hear you. Or, well, I can't.
I can't hear you.
I can't either.
Neither can I.
Can't hear you.
No, can't hear you. Can't hear you at all. I don't know what's happened, mate. Okay, that's better. Okay, now, yeah.
See, guys, I tried to buy a mic and actually give you guys better content, but it just didn't work. Oh, it's dead. Great. Cool. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna have to come back to bootleg Apple sound. But what did you guys hear last? Sorry.
Definition of what wealth means to everyone. However, that's last bit I heard, I think. So yeah.
Talking about the carnal pursuits, that it's not just about carnal pursuits and stuff.
Yeah.
Fine. No, that's helpful. Thank you. Yeah. So I think, yeah. So yeah, I can't remember, but I think all I was saying was, I think it's important for this question to be answered like in a time of like soberness, like with the Lord, because if not, it's going to be all about carnal desires, about, I want to buy A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and not maybe God's like, oh, wealthy is being able to give a certain amount, or maybe wealthy is being able to fund other Christian entrepreneurs, or like, I think everyone's is going to be so different. And there's this quote that came from this book called The Psychology of Money, which is fantastic. Like, I really recommend it. Again, if you don't like reading books, I audiobooked it and it was great. And And the way he defined wealth, the author Morgan Housel, was the ability to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, for as long as you want. And he said that was priceless. And he like pretty much mentioned that this is the highest dividend that money pays. So again, whilst he had his definition of being able to do what he wanted, when he wanted, for as long as he wanted, I think it's also important for us to kind of have our own definition or own desire about what that wealth looks like ultimately. So I guess that's like one question for the, like, based on the first session that we can take away, think about, maybe drop your thoughts in the chat or whatever. But yeah, that's like a quick summary of session 1 and what you can do. I'll pause if there's any questions. I don't think so, but I think it makes sense. Cool. So second week was saving, budgeting, and investing. Now, this is a question that I get asked, or that I've asked about, like where to store emergency funds. And I think someone asked, so I think firstly, like it's important to store your emergency fund in a safe place, but also a place that you can generate income, because basically, like, because inflation's so high, what happens is you can actually lose money if your emergency fund is stored in maybe like a current account or something with 0% interest. If your inflation rate is 8% and you're not making any money, you're ultimately losing 8% every single year from that emergency fund. So I think the goal is being able to find a sweet spot where you're able to generate some income from your emergency fund, but also not put it in a risky asset. Some people might put it in a low interest, like in a low risk index fund. I personally don't, just for liquidity purposes and also just for peace of mind. So these are 3 like quite high interest accounts that you can put your money into. And if you think about 7%, guys, like S&P generated maybe 10% over the last X years. So 7% of guaranteed money is actually a really, really good opportunity. Now, I know you guys are probably thinking, okay, cool, like monthly max is £300. It's like, how much is that really going to get me? That's true. But what is important is that you can actually stack these, right? So let's say, and again, some of you might not like taking out multiple accounts, but I mean, if it's a savings account that has no impact on your credit score and you earn money from it, why not, right? But let's say rather than opening just the first direct savings account, you actually take out 4 or 5 of these. That means that your monthly max for each of these is pretty much like 1,500, right? Now, if you do that over a year, that's 1,500 times 12 is 15, about 18,000. That one, that's right, something like that. And now if you think about, again, I'm not saying you guys put 1,500 in every single month, but I'm saying that you can stack these so that the monthly max is actually higher than what the individual bank account says. Does that make sense? So this is something that I'm going to think about doing, right? Because right now our emergency fund is in like one place and it's got pretty good returns, right? But why not leverage a 7% for a year versus getting like a 3 or 4% from one bank account? So yeah, Emma, I think that answers your question. I don't think you can put a lump sum, hence why it's probably good to kind of like open quite a few so that you can spread it against each of them. Sweet, cool. So second section, so yeah, so again, these guys, I mean, Google these banks, like they're all pretty big banks, they're all FSCS regulated, so it's not a problem to hold your money there at all. Cool. So saving, budgeting, and investing. So I guess I've sent this budget sheet to a couple of you, but I know happy to give it to everyone here. But I'm gonna happy to quickly run through, I guess, how we use it, how it works, and then how you guys can use it as well. So first things first, Toyin and I have a monthly recurring meeting in the calendar for the first of every month. And it's because we get paid on the 1st. We get paid on the 31st. So we just set it up for the day after, just in case there's any, funny delays with the thingy with the payment coming through. And that's like, guys, like that's happening regardless. Like maybe we're busy on the first and we can't do it, but first or second it's happening, right? Like it's in the calendar. There's no excuse. So that's the first thing I say. With your significant other, like set up a regular monthly meeting, like without excuse, because I think again, it keeps you guys accountable. And it also means that you can actively work towards a lot of the goals that you have. The second thing that we do is we go into the budget seat, and then we identify the priorities, and then we allocate the amounts to the specific categories. So if I open up the sheet now, again, this is just a sample sheet, but once you get this, I'll send you this actual template. So the yellow parts is the things that you guys populate, and then everything else will change. So I'll just point in some random figures. A 32K salary will be great. But yeah, you'll see everything will start to populate. Once you put them finger numbers in, the yellow marks will go, meaning that you've used it already. But ultimately identify like what's important in this. It doesn't have you don't have to use these like categories, change them if you want, add things, take things out. This is just a template for you guys to decide, like get you guys thinking. But we've always said giving and our investment is always a priority. Like I said it in week 2. That probably won't change, just based on our desires, what the Lord's like led us to do, and then everything else. Again, home expenses, of course, is going to be a non-negotiable because we have to get the mortgage paid and we have to pay council tax, unfortunately, and we have to do all these things. So I'd say identify like what the priorities are, and then allocate the specific amounts to each of these categories based on what you've historically done. So if you know your rent is 1,500, obviously put 1,500 in there, and so on and so forth. But I will actually send this in the chat now. So you guys, again, please guys, make a copy. I don't think you guys can even edit it, but yeah, make a copy and then you guys can fill it out yourselves. Sorry, I think someone's on not off mute. So if you did, please. Thank you. Oh, I can actually mute. Awesome. Thank you. Cool. So third thing would be is to complete actuals for last month. So on the 1st, we honestly, being transparent, we don't fill out the actuals just because we have pots for each of these different things. We kind of know how much we've spent, and if there's 0 amount in the budget, it means if there's 0 left at the end of the month, it means that we spent all the money, right? So yeah, try and fill out the actuals if you know that it's maybe a bit harder for you to track where your money goes over time. And then that's just good because it will tell you the difference between your actuals and your budget. So again, if your budget for water was 300 and your actuals was 400, the difference will come all the way up to this top line summary here. So again, you gotta always track where your money is going. Step 4 is to move the money into specific pots. Now, sorry, I realize that you guys don't see my screen. Step 4 is to move the money into specific pots. Now, again, Monzo is great because they have pots, and like pots have literally just transformed the way. Like gone are the days where you have to just keep your money in separate bank accounts for separate pots. Now, Monzo can just like categorize that for you, which is great. And then number 5 would be try not to bundle your money in your current account just because it's a bit of a mess. And then number 5, and this is probably a big thing that we realize that helps us, is I said that we do a zero-based budgeting, meaning that once our pay comes in on the 1st, by like the 3rd or 4th, 99% of that money has come out. What we actually do is we leave like a tiny bit of money in that main account where most of the direct debits come out from. And the reason we do this is because there are times where there'll be like an unexpected payment. Maybe you've traveled and you've bought a data pack in Dubai and you come back and you forget that you've done that, and then your O2 bill is now £60. And like the reason why it's good to leave a bit of money is because you really don't want payments failing. So if your O2 bill tries to come out and it's failed because you bought a data pack and you've cleared out that account, not to your fault because you do zero-based budgeting. It's just always good maybe to leave a bit of money there just in case things do crop up that you didn't expect. Hope that makes sense. You guys following?
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you. Hilary, I'll get to your question after this slide. So a couple of things that we've done is this one was very, very funny, just to review all the direct debits because let's be honest, guys, like there are like I'm sure we all have direct debits that we just don't need. Like I'm 100% sure of that. And honestly, it's as simple as just like going through them. Like if it's like I said before, Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, like pick two, right? Amazon, of course, most of us will have, right? Pick either Netflix or Disney Plus. Pick like just to kind of like start getting into a habit where it's like I actually don't need all of these things, and just cancel what you don't need. Like you'd be surprised how much you save just by canceling things that you don't actually use. The second thing, also a massive plug for us, is we aggregated all of our direct debit payments to within a few days of getting paid. So if we get paid on the 1st, we aggregate most of the bills will come out on the 2nd or 3rd or the 4th, because what happens is if they're all scattered, I'm going to go into my current account and see, £1,000, £2,000. And it's like, yo, like not knowing that there are still direct debits to come out. So we've tried mortgage comes out on the 1st or 2nd, water comes out, Octopus Energy comes out, Netflix, like majority of the things. So that literally by day 3 or 4, that whole paycheck that you've got is just, but yeah, that's worked for us. Like feel free to try it. And then the last thing is just start small, like especially if this is like something that's different or something that you're new to, like start small. I don't expect anybody to not have budgeted and then come and start saying that your monthly spend is going to be £20 a month, because it's just not going to be, right? So smart scopes, start small, maybe try and cut 10%, cut 15% here and there. Don't like overburden yourselves at the very beginning, because it's going to be a process to how you build moving forward. Cool. Hilary, to your question, are there any apps that help with tracking? So there are, one of which I have used, and I've actually got it on this slide. So there's an app called IFTTT. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. Maybe it's just like my own sad way of like looking. Okay, cool. Moffat, you're my kind of guy, man. So there's an app called IFTTT, which stands for if this, then that. Now, you guys, I don't know, but in a nutshell, what it will do is this app connects with like thousands of apps, thousands of organizations like Monzo, like Google Sheets, like the weather, whatever. And ultimately, you can create like code rules, which kind of work to your favor. So you can say something like this, right? Every Monzo card purchase, add it to my Google Calendar. Right, and this is like these are default ones that they've created. You can make your own, but this app would basically be like every single time you spend on your Monzo, whenever you open your Google Calendar, which I'm sure a lot of us use, all of your purchases that you've spent will be in that calendar, which is pretty sick, right? Like I think it's actually a pretty cool way to kind of be accountable to what you're spending every single month. There's another one that's like send me a weekly spending digest. So at the start of every week, it can email you based on your Monzo history, how much you've spent how much you spent in that week. And it's honestly like, it's so cool. The one that I used like a few years ago was, no, not this one, but this one I think it might help most people here, where it will log your card purchases to a spreadsheet. So again, if you've never budgeted before, what you could do is you could start using this app for the month of March, and then you can see where your money goes every single month, and then start budgeting next month based on based on the like the spending history that this app tells you ultimately. But yeah, this is a pretty cool one. And then the last one that I've used is, or seen, is you can actually round your card purchases to the nearest pound. So if you spend £1.30 at Asda, it can move the 70p to a savings account or to another pot, which I think is pretty cool because you don't see that. Like, because guys, 189 and £2 are the same to us, right? That 11p over multiple things can be super useful. But yeah, IFTTT is a pretty handy app if you guys want to automate some things in your life. I'll pause if there. Okay, cool. Are there any questions? Sweet. Cool. I think that makes sense, hopefully. Cool. So that's budget and saving. Going on to investing now. So remember in week 2, I mentioned that investing is buying an asset, hoping that it would generate cash flow or appreciate in value, which is capital gains in the future. One of the ways that I've thought about and I've actually tried to start do is investing in insurances. So the reason why this is an investment is because if you think about it, if I or even think about it like car insurance, I pay car insurance not because I want to, firstly, but it's because I have to, right? But let's take away the have to. If I buy car insurance and then my car breaks or someone hits the car and it's written off, that insurance money that I've spent allows me to generate the income from that car back because the insurance company will pay out a claim, right? So ultimately, I've generated the value of that car as an asset because I paid for my insurance. Yes, I've spent money on the insurance, but I've generated income because they've been able to pay me out. Had I not had that insurance, I would have been at a loss because I lost the value of the car ultimately. And that's the way I think about insurance, right? So if you take an example, like this, right? Like the opportunity cost of not investing in insurance can be quite high, right? Take this example, January 2024, you invest £200 in the stock market, right? Let's say you don't have, and this is very, very simple, just to kind of get us to understand. But let's say £200 is like disposable, what you can spare every single month. And that 200 you put only to invest in, which is great, but you don't have something like boiler insurance, right? Let's now say month 6, which is June, your boiler breaks. What this now means, and then the boiler repair cost is 1,200. What this now means is that you've only been able to invest 1,200 for that year. Now, the reason you've only been able to invest that is because it's 200 times 6, which is 1,200. Month 6, boiler breaks, and then you can't invest anymore because all of that money that you were investing with, you now put that to the boiler repair cost, right? Again, very simple example. But consider scenario 2 now, where same month, you actually invest £180 and you pay £20 to your boiler insurance every single month. Same thing, month 6, boiler breaks, but actually your boiler repair cost is only £100, right? What that now means is that you can still invest the rest of those 6 months because you don't have to pay a large excess fee, right? So the total amount invested, whilst you've had to buy boiler insurance and nothing's happened in the first 6 months, when it does happen, you're covered ultimately. And you can see that total amount invested in scenario 2 is a lot higher than in scenario 1. Again, guys, like this is yes, this isn't mandatory to have insurances, but genuinely, like this is something that has helped us like phenomenally in terms of like making sure that we still have good cash flow, even if bad things have happened in this house in terms of like things have broken, but none, like we don't stress about it because we have we have insurance for almost everything. Like we actually have insurance for almost everything, right? Now we've used boiler insurance as an example, but it could be laptop insurance. It could be appliance insurance. It could be like anything, guys, because things happen, things break. Sometimes to our own fault, sometimes not to our fault, right? And insurance gives you that ability to have confidence that you have that cash flow moving forward because the number of unexpected payments is a lot fewer than if you didn't have insurance, right? So examples, these are what we have gadget insurance. Well, we recently cancelled this because Barclays Tech Pack took a bit of a mick by changing their policy, right? But anyway, if you have Barclays Tech Pack, check your thing because they've changed it. But gadget insurance, like fundamentally, was great for us. We had it for years, like maybe 4 or 5 years. We were on Barclays Tech Pack, and each of these, or most of these insurances, have saved me in one way, shape, or form. I remember I think it was it 2020, 2021, maybe 2022. Using my laptop, brother comes in the room, we were chatting, I come off the bed and I smash it with like I don't even know what I was holding, but laptop screen just finishes, right? And you guys know, if you have a MacBook, MacBooks are very expensive to repair. Maybe it would have cost me £200-300. So call the insurance guys. They were like, yo, yeah, fine, we will fix it. But actually what they said was so I think they said something like, because we don't have any replacements that we can send you, we will send you the cash for your laptop. Guys, these guys sent me £700 for the MacBook that I'd used for God knows how long. I was like, oh, great. Like I bought the upgraded version, right? Because why not? But yeah, this gadget insurance, I lost my phone, I called insurance. I lost my Apple Watch, called insurance. Yeah, there's not much that I haven't called insurance for. But yeah, Barclays Tech Pack, or even like a package bank account, would be a really good shout if you guys wanted to. Second thing is, if you're a homeowner, yeah, guys, you know the stresses with sometimes some of these things: boilers, plumbing, gas, pipes, all this stuff. We have insurance for this. Again, our electrics in our kitchen stopped working. Like 3 or 4 plugs just blew randomly, and I was like, yo. I was like, never fear, insurance is here. So we called them up, and they were like, yeah, fine, we'll come and fix it. I paid £60 and they fixed like 3 or 4 different sockets. Guys, this would have cost me £300-500, right? But hey, I didn't even worry, man. So yeah, we use Corgi. We pay about £25 a month. It covers our pipes, gas, plumbing, toilets, drains, you name it, it probably covers it. Appliance insurance, again, our hub, again, I don't know if you guys are team like gas or team like electric hobs, but gas hobs scare me because fire and I don't play with that. So thinking we have an induction hob. Twain hates it, but thinking we have it, Shat. See, gas hobs it's just thought of them I can't comprehend yet. So we'll stick with it. Fair. So anyway, it's not me whipping up that serious stew anyway, Sha. But yeah, our hob broke. Sorry, 2 of the things broke. What did I do, guys? We called British Gas. Like, guys, we pay £7 a month for this appliance insurance. And they came and fixed it. Lastly, income protection. We don't. So I have this through work, which is handy. So I don't have to pay for this. But this is, God forbid, if you're out of work for any reason, the insurance would supplement your income for a certain amount of time. But yeah, we don't pay for this. We just get it through work. So just check work if you're not sure. And then last one is travel insurance. And guys, can you just put in the chat, please? If you travel, do you buy travel insurance? Like, I'm just gonna pause for a minute and be honest. It's a safe space. Okay. Peter said sometimes, I have once, I lean on the Lord, of course, must have, depends on the trip. I haven't in the past, but I will in future, sometimes 70%. I get travel insurance, not really. Man said e-hit card. Oh yes, y'all playing. This is faith, man. I lean on guys. I hear it, guys. Cool. So I don't want to rustle feathers, guys, but honestly, like I do hear it because 9 times out of 10, like you think you travel, you come back by God's grace, and that's great. But I also do think, again, going back to what we had on the last slide, like I genuinely think the opportunity cost of not having insurance is very high. Like there was a story of someone that not I knew, but a friend of a friend. An acquaintance of a friend, but he went to Dubai, and I think he had like an accident, And firstly, Dubai, an accident and no insurance is problem. As you guys know, it's problem. I think the bill came to like 15, 20K and he had to pay it. Like, like you have to pay it, right? Now, yeah, it was insane. Like, I read the story. I said, "Shut," and I think we were traveling before. I said, "Let me even upgrade my travel insurance because it's not 20K, guys. You know what 20K bill is? Do you know that anyway?" And that's what I'm saying. If the insurance cost me £30, like 30 pounds to not use it versus £15, like. And my mom always says something. It's yeah, Iman. It's not fun. They not. I don't think there's finance in Dubai like that. That's cash up front. That's cash in hand, bro. Like my mom always says this thing. Like it's better to have something and not need it than not need it and have it. Like sorry, and not need it. It's better to. This the problem. I love idioms too much, and I even forget them. But you know what I'm trying to say, right? I think, yeah, of course, older people insurance is going to be a lot more expensive. Even like if you have like health things, and even like my dad, like with these, like he's had a number of operations, so his insurance is a lot more expensive. But they still never buy travel insurance. But anyway, guys, let's try and buy travel insurance, please. Like let's try and buy it because I think it's a wise thing to do. So thank you. So I'm just getting. Cool. So yeah, those are the ones that I invest in. Again, I think our insurances maybe come to about maybe 70, 60 pound a month, maybe 50 pound a month. But we've saved over £1,000 probably. Just by having just by having each of these insurances. But I hope you guys are still with me.
Yep.
Sweet. Perfect. Cool. Sweet. So moving on to the actual investing side of things now. So how do I actually dollar cost average? Again, dollar cost averaging is when you put money into an investment over time and you just kind of invest automatically. So this is assuming that you use Vanguard. Again, feel free to use whatever platform that you want, but assuming you use Vanguard, when you go onto Vanguard, when you log in, you'll see this portfolio, this section on the left-hand side here. If you click on the payment section, this link would come up. So it would ask you regular monthly payments. Again, I don't want to put mine here, so I don't skew anybody to invest in what I invest in. So I've cropped things out. But yeah, it'll kind of have a section for regular monthly payments. Once you've gone on there, you can select the funds that you want to invest in and then set a date for when you want your payments to start. Now, this is dope because you can say, okay, cool, I have a goal that I'm going to start come rain or shine on the 1st of May or on the 1st or on the 20th of April, whatever it is, right? I think this is great because it allows you to be flexible about the dates that you do set when you do want to invest and then how much you want to invest. And then once you've gone through with that, to confirm, it will always tell you when your next payment date is. And then it will tell you, like when your next payment date is. So this is useful because again, if it's like, if you do want to move a date or cancel it, you know how far, like I think it's like 8 business days before you have to change it. Ultimately, is there a minimum per month? Yeah, man, you're not serious, man. Is there a minimum per month? Can you take breaks? So there is. So for some ETFs, there's a minimum, which is just you have to buy at least the 1 unit of that ETF. Now that varies in price. Some can be £20, some can be £30, some can be £50. But like generally there isn't a minimum because you can kind of put in what you want. And then yeah, you can take breaks 100%. Like you can pause it or you can move your next payment date back. So if you said, okay, cool, like I'm gonna have to skip this month for ABC, doesn't matter. You can change that so that it will just come out the following month, ultimately. But honestly, guys, like this has been the biggest, like regular payments, not checking the account. It's almost like surprise money when you open it up, right? Because kind of just forget about it. But yeah, that's how to dollar cost average. couple of things to be aware of when you do that, when you do invest, is there's an ISA limit of 20K across all ISAs. So this is actually really important to know. Sorry guys, my wife brought me some food because I said I was hungry, so God bless her. But there's a she left it on the floor. There's a limit across each of the ISAs of 20K. Now that's not just, so there are 4 types of ISAs: cash ISA, cash ISA, stocks and shares ISA, lifetime ISA, and something called an innovative ISA. They might change the name. Now that 20K is shared across each 4 of those ISAs, meaning that if you put 20K into a cash ISA, you can't invest any single more into any other ISA in that year, which is important because if you do, the tax man might start complaining, or HMRC, or one of them, but it's just good to know that it's split across each of these different ISAs. So it's like kind of down to you to kind of know how much you've put into each of the different ISAs. Second thing is, if you've already paid into a stocks and shares ISA, you can't pay into another stocks and shares ISA in the same tax year. So if you have, I think Iman said he had one of the platforms, I don't know, but if you have, let's say, a trading 212 that you've paid into in December because you want to start investing, you can't now open up a Vanguard account and pay into another ETF because it's just against, like, you just can't do it. So there's 2 options. What you can do is you can either transfer your existing ISA to the new platform that you wish to use. So if you go onto Vanguard, you'll see a transfer option. Let me quickly see if I my accounts. Yeah, so if you click transfer opening an account, you can move the account from wherever it is. Steps here is so simple. I've done it for my mom. It's quite simple. Just transfer it over. The second option is that you can just wait until the next tax year, which is only in a few weeks. So if you did want to move to Vanguard, you could just say, okay, cool, I'm going to wait until the next tax year and then start investing there, ultimately. Cool. Fees are really important. So you'll see a couple of fees on most platforms that you go into. There's one called the OCF fee, which is the ongoing charge figures. And what this is this is just the charge that you pay over a year for as long as you hold the investment. And this varies per ETF, right? So it's finished. So if I go back to the Vanguard page and I go to just a sample ETF, you will see that the OCF here is 0.17%, meaning that if I invest £1,000 into that fund, at the end of the year, they're going to charge me 0.17%, which is very, very, like, considering all of the platforms out there, this is a very, very low fee. And this, like, Vanguard is notorious for having really low fees. Like, that's one of the whole principles or ethoses that it was built on, having low fees. So that's the OCF fee that you'll see. Again, they vary per ETFs. The second fee is the annual fee. So again, Vanguard also have to make their money. They have a platform to run. So they'll also charge you 0.15% every single year. Again, relative to other platforms, Vanguard is extremely cheap. So again, I don't want to say use it, but this is why I use it. And again, Emma, I'll come to your question. Actually, let me just get to it now. Is ISA only for personal investments, or can businesses have an ISA? And do you know if the limits would be the same as in the 20K across all? Good question. I do think ISAs are only for personal investments, I believe, because it's technically, it stands for individual savings account, so businesses won't actually have an ISA. I think they'd have something else, but I'm not too sure on that. But I don't think they can take an ISA. Cool. Awesome, no problem. And then the last thing to be aware of is there's something. So when you go on the ETF section, again, this is like platform agnostic. This is across multiple platforms. There's something called an accumulation or income ETF. So if I go back here, you'll see this filter which says accumulation or income distributing, and most ETFs have both of these, accumulation and income. All that means is, if you check the next slide, this is an example, and the definition's here, so I don't even have to explain it. But what it means is that an accumulation ETF, remember I said you can make money through capital gains, which is the share price increasing, but you can also make money through dividends, which is where every quarter, maybe a company will say, thank you for being an investor, here's some money. Ultimately, in an accumulation, Vanguard would automatically reinvest any dividends that you have into back into your investment portfolio. So think about it like extra money, but it's being reinvested. Now, the good thing about that is it will help your investments grow faster over time because of the compounding. Now, on the other hand, income just means that any dividends that you do get, it will get paid to you as cash, and you can take it, spend it as you want, by paratrainers, whatever. Majority, I think all of mine actually are accumulation, just because the point of this for me is to build long-term wealth, to have money when I'm, in later years, and to just to try and be a bit more prudent. Like, I don't want to get the cash now, I want to save for later. So mine's an accumulation, but again, there's no right or wrong. It's just dependent on your personal circumstances and what you need. Can you have a joint Vanguard account? No, but you wouldn't want to. And you wouldn't want to, because if a world existed of a joint Vanguard account, you'd still have a 20K ISA limit. But if you have one with Lenny, you both have that 20K limit, so your limit is even higher. So yeah, I'd just say leverage both of your accounts, because yeah, it's probably the best thing to do, in my opinion. Cool. So that's investments. Last thing, if you're a maverick and you like to invest in stocks and you want to cherry pick and you don't want to go into S&P 500 and you want to pick your own ETF, that's honestly totally fine. Like I said, there's no right or wrong. There's a really good app or really good website that I use that I use if I want to compare, called Morningstar. And they're notorious for having really good, deep ratings about certain things. And it's great because these are two sample ETFs. They're both S&P, but they're held under different platforms. One's Vanguard, one's under a company called iShares. You kind of see things like the rating that Morningstar, the company, gives it. They're both 5-star. When the ETF was built, other ratings, you can see how many assets it has under management. You can see the ongoing charge that it has. You can see things like the overall risk of it, the overall return, and then some things about how it's performed over time. This is so good because it's like an all-in-one view of being able to compare not just ETFs, but stocks. It has things like this, guys. There's so many things, and it's free, right? Performances. Again, when I say that S&P has certain things over years, you guys might think I'm lying, but this says 10 years annualized, they've both returned about 12%, 5 years, 14%, so on and so forth. So this is a really good tool to, again, it even breaks down what's in these ETFs, how it's split, the sectors that it's in, and all that good stuff. So yeah, Morningstar is a really good platform. And it's just good for general financial knowledge information. There's quite a bit here on Morningstar, so I recommend doing that. And the last thing on investments, I haven't forgotten you parents, of course. There's junior ISAs is something that I'm probably gonna open up once. Anyway, I thought about I'll be in a hospital, I'll be like, yo, I gotta open up my junior ISA. As soon as that child comes out, I'll be like, is he out yet? But yeah, junior ISA, again, when your child is 18, they will kind of it won't be transferred to them, but they're able to take out any money that you put in their junior ISA. Again, you can put it in a junior stocks and shares ISA, same principle as an ISA, but it has a 9K annual limit, which is fine because I ain't even gonna put that much money in for my child, and I'm this for now anyway. And it's great, right? Because let's assume, again, I like my projections, right? This projection, when the child is 18, they can take 8.6K, right? Which can be used for, I don't know, maybe you don't want them to get maintenance loans for uni. Maybe you want to help them buy their first car. Maybe they want to start a business and you want to give them a down payment. Maybe they want to start buy a property and give them a deposit. Like this is actually quite a lot of money to give to an 18-year-old. Now, again, with wisdom, of course, but this is actually only putting in £20 a month for the next 18 years, which is crazy because £20 doesn't sound as much. But if you put in £20 for the next 18 years into the stock market, this is probably the kind of money that your 18-year-old can get, which is really dope, right? Because why not? So yeah, junior ISAs are a really good shout. I will pause there before the last like 5 minutes on debt and credit to see if anyone has any questions and for me to eat my bagel. But guys, let me know. No questions. Wow, you guys don't want me to eat.
Can I
Fine.
ask a question?
Yeah, go for it.
Sorry, I've been questions galore today.
Go for it.
At what point do you make a decision to withdraw from your investments? Like, do you just keep your money in your investments until you retire and then you're ready to blow it on a yacht, or do you have like a point at which, okay, I'm doing this investment to get 100K and then I'll change my investment strategy? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. No, I think it's a good question. Now, I think it's all dependent. And now I know that's a bit of an annoying answer, so I'll give mine. But I think something that I've thought about is being able to invest. So again, it's all about like what's your long-term goal? Goes back to the question, like what does wealth look like? For me, it's being able to do that which I'm led to do by the Lord without having a restriction of needing to work a 9 to 5. And of course, being able to do at my house, of course, being able to travel, of course, having income that's just passive, right? Now, what that looks like is one of the things that I've thought about is being able to consistently invest over the next 15, 20 years to the point that I've generated quite a bit of money in my investment account that I can now just live off the interest. Because what that means is that, let's say my interest alone in that account is 70, 80K a year, right? Let's even sweeten up. Let's say it's 90K a year, interest alone, right? That means that mortgage paid off, not really much, well, God willing, not really much debt. God willing, kids' schools paid off, all that good stuff. You're pretty much saying that you can live off £8,000 every single month without having many expenses. That for me, I'm comfortable with that. Like yeah, of course, everyone. Now again, this is all dependent, right, on what people want. But that way, I don't have to touch my initial investment amount. I'm just getting the interest. So that investment's still growing, and I'm just getting the interest. Now that's something I've thought about, right? Again, it's just dependent on what you want to do with it. Some people, it's no, I want to get to 500K. Some people, it's, oh, I want to get to 1 million. Some people, it's, oh no, I want to have 5 million before I take it out. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Cool. So, I don't know. Last section is debt and credit. And this one's relatively quick, actually. So I think the first one, I touched on this, and this title makes me laugh, all right, because there's something being hacked with Amex. But for those who have an Amex, I thought it'd be cool to just kind of have a couple of things that you could do if you did have them. The first thing, like I mentioned last week, is shopping through something called BAE Store. Again, this just gives you extra points. It's genuinely just free money. I think the last couple of trips that Tony and I have taken, we paid majority of it with our points based on what we spent versus having to pay cash for it. And again, guys, we don't spend crazy money on Amex. Shit, you know me, I'm very frugal. I like to think, or we like to be very, very frugal, right? So it's just about like the consistency and just like what we have bought that we can just get points from. So BAE Store is a really, really good shout. The second thing is leveraging Amex offers. So on your app, I think I've got a screenshot coming up soon, but on your app, on the Amex card, there'll be an offer section. And guys, this offer section is actually pretty good. Like I don't want to say frequently, but I check it quite a bit just to kind of see like what's there. And that again gives you 3 points, gives you money off, it gives you ABRs, it gives you a bunch of different stuff. But again, I'll show you the screenshot after. Third thing is booking reward flights. So when you get an Amex card, you'll get access to the BA Executive Club. I think the BA Executive Club, which is basically just allows you to book flights with points. That's all it is. You can book cheaper flights with points, and that's how I mentioned if there's a way that Amma tries to save money on a flight, especially this economy, it's through Avios. So yeah, you can do that. And then the last thing is you can actually share Avios with people, which is actually pretty cool. So because Toyin and I had separate accounts, when we wanted to travel, she just sent me all of hers. And then I had a companion voucher. So we just combined it and then bought the flight with both of our points, which is pretty nifty, right? So, and it doesn't even have to be like it can be a sibling. If a sibling has quite a few ABOs, or even a friend, and they ain't traveling soon, and they're kind enough to bless you, shall take it. And you be like, "Yo, I'll pay you back." But yeah, this is the BAE store thing I was talking about. Again, you can kind of see most places that we spend, M&S, hotels. Like there are so many companies on here that we can leverage to get a bit more points on the AVOS. On the Amex offers, this is what I was talking about. I think I have an offer now, which is like get money from IKEA off, or get like money from like just a bunch of different places, like places that I would normally go to anyway. I think Amex offers have been super helpful. And then the reward flight section. So if you literally just type in BA reward flight, you can go to this button here to find or to book a reward flight, and the prices are actually radically different when you pay in AVOS. And you can even do like part AVOS, part cash, which sometimes can be really good. Some deals aren't great, but sometimes they can be really good. So yeah, this is a good shout for anyone who has an AVOS. Sorry, for anyone who has an Amex. Cool. I'm going to be finishing now, so that anyone can kind of just open up the floor to anyone. But just quickly, how do you get AVOS? Yeah, so you get AVOS through Amex card. So when you spend on the Amex, you get AVOS points, and then AVOS points you can now use for other things. But I think you can also convert like Nectar points to AVOS if you have like a Sainsbury's Nectar card. But yeah, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be through the Amex card. Again, guys, please don't open an Amex just to get points. Don't. If you have an Amex, great, fine, but don't. To your own discretion. If you want a credit card, fine, but to your own discretion. Cool. Last things here, just as I round up. Yeah, Josh and Emily Rose, I'm not sure which one of you said it, but yeah, you can actually boost your Amex points. And actually, some of them are actually pretty good boosts because they have like good promotions on. So yeah, that's a really good shout. All of it's on the BA Executive Club website anyway for you to take a look at. But yeah, that's a really good shout. Cool. So last thing, I know Lola mentioned last week about like having why is my screen not moving? About having like 0% credit cards if you've never had a credit card and want to build credit. Now, this annoyingly is one of the ways to build credit. Again, it's probably not the best way because it means that you're liable for some sort of debt now or credit card anyway. But if you did want to take out a credit card, it's good to kind of go with the 0% ones. Just means that your interest will be 0% for like an introductory period. So there's things like Barclaycard, M&S, and NatWest that have these offers now. But yeah, for me, ideally, what I would recommend is a better way is like, if you didn't have a phone contract or something, like getting a SIM-only contract, because that's like something you need and it's not a credit card. But again, it doesn't mean you shouldn't get a credit card, but I think it's just like, okay, cool, thinking about the implications of doing it, because when you apply for credit, your credit score naturally comes down anyway. So it doesn't mean you should get it, but if you did want to, after doing all the research, there are a couple of different options that you can get. Now, always try and find like a pre-approved card, because getting declined for credit still affects your score. So if you apply for credit and you don't get it, your score is still going to be impacted. Whereas a pre-approved is in the name, right? They're pre-approving you to get the credit card. So that's a good shout to take a look at. And then last but not least, some credit score apps to use. Now, guys, if you do use credit score apps, like just put in the chat what you use. I'm very curious into like what people do use. Experian, fine. Okay, cool. That's cool. Y'all are bougie because hey, you think you got a paper Experian, right? Or is it free? Is Experian free? Oh man, fair. Okay, cool. I thought it was expensive. I thought you had to pay for it. That's why I was at ClareScore, which is which I think is not great. But yeah, I use ClareScore, which I'm not. Yeah, you have to pay for the deal. I use ClareScore, and I actually don't like ClareScore. Just sells you dreams, man. If I'm being honest. Now the reason I would recommend Equifax or Experian is because when it comes to credit, ClearScore actually isn't like a rating bureau. Now, what that means is that there are three official rating bureaus: Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Now, what that means is that they are the ones who actually determine your credit score. But what ClearScore would do is it would take all of the information from Equifax, from Experian, from TransUnion, and it would generate its own score. So honestly, the credit score on ClearScore doesn't actually mean much. The actual ones that you probably want to look at is Equifax or Experian, because those are the actual bureaus that provide your credit report. So yeah, I just thought to mention that because I use ClearScore and I probably, yeah, I just don't find it the best. But cool, good to know that. Experian is. I think Equifax you have to pay for. I think that one is hardcore. But cool. I will stop there because I think I've covered quite a bit. I wanted to kind of open the floor. I guess if anyone had any thoughts, questions, comments, points to raise, personal experiences, whatever it is, because there's a few minutes left that we can use to chat. Hopefully not, and I can go. I can go eat my bagel. No, cool. I'll leave it for 20 seconds. Is PA still there? I know you wanted to quickly run. Oh, good shot. Let me check Slido actually. Okay, cool. Yeah, there were a couple questions on Slido. Let me share screen again. Cool. So question here is how can we engage in giving as the body of Christ, avoiding capitalist gain while stewarding our money? How can we engage in giving? Avoid. So wait, how can we engage in giving as the body of Christ, avoiding capitalist gain while stewarding our money? Sorry, I don't think I understand the question. And I think it's just because my brain is like, so I don't know. I know it's anonymous, but I don't know if anyone wanted to share or retype it. I think my brain, I think I'm so tired that I can't even understand the question. So it's not just me. I'm sending you. But in the meantime, I will wait if that person did want to update it. But the second question is, should you tithe from investment profits? Now, chat. I'm not gonna say no because that's a lie. Like for me and my household, we tithe our investment profits personally. Right now, I know people are going to be like, "Oh, government ain't going to catch you," and the government will not catch you if you didn't tithe your investment. Not at all. Sorry, they might. But I'm not concerned about the government catching me. I'm concerned about my own conscience, right? So again, I do personally, but I'm not going to tell you that it's law for you to give and tithe your investment profits. But we try and give some money from our gain because it's gain, right, for us, and that's how we see it. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but that's what we do. We see our gain as income ultimately. So And then Emmanuel, you said, how do we give? Oh, okay, you're just rewording. How do we give and not get consumed with trying to build wealth? Oh, okay, fine, cool. If that's what, how do we give and not get consumed with trying to build money? I think that's what they are saying. Yeah, no, I think that, yeah, that makes sense. I think it's a good question. Again, happy for anyone to chime in, but I think for me, it's again, I kind of share the story how whenever you're, especially as a Christian, right? Like I think there'll always be convictions to build wealth, but at the same time and at the same velocity, there will be convictions to increase in the nature in how we give. That's the like that's what I faced, right? I don't know if anyone can relate, but whenever there's like increase or maybe there's a new job or maybe there's a new opportunity, like I'm convicted to give and to bless others or allow the Lord to bless others through me because I've been blessed. So why wouldn't I? Do you know what I mean? So I think for us, what we've tried to do is having giving being at the forefront of our mind. I remember, I think I mentioned I wanted to save a certain amount of money in a year. I think it was like 2 years ago. And I felt like the Lord challenged me to be like, why don't you give why don't you give a percentage of that which you're trying to save or something like that? And I was like I was convicted because I was like, yo, maybe the goal should be, oh, how much can I give? Not, oh, how much can I save or how much can I make? Because God, I believe the Lord will honor that. But yeah, that's just my personal thoughts, and happy for anyone to share their own. How did you encourage your parents to invest? I sat down with them and I said, we're going to invest whether you like it or not. Like legit. I actually just sat down with them. I'm like, Mom, I know, and I know, because she was like, oh, like what if I lose my money? And this, and I was like, Mom, like, yes, of course, there's, I think that's a real fear, but there's ways to mitigate against these things, and nothing is certain 100%. And you're obviously going to be a lot less risky. So I genuinely sat down with her and explained like this is what it means, this is why we do it, this is what's happened over time, and I just told her to start small. So now she's actually doing small investments. Same thing with Toyin and her parents. Like she sat down with them and said, okay, this is what it means, send them this, please feel free. But yeah, that's how I encourage my parents to invest. Well, my mom anyway, and my dad, but my mom. I hope that answers your question. And the last one here that I've seen is should we treat our pensions as investments too? Should we? Yes, I do. I treat my pension as an investment. Again, I mentioned earlier on that I currently right now do not pay into a company pension. Again, not because I don't want to, just because the matching that they give me isn't like what I ideally want. I'm not saying don't pay into them, because I probably will once I join a company that they give me a good match. But yeah, pension 100% is an investment. Like you're investing into your pension, you're investing into your life, your future, right? We recently opened a self-invested personal pension. Of course, we have a company pension, but again, it's just diversifying. But I think no pension, of course, I see it as an investment. Okay, y'all are being shy, man. You making me read. Y'all are being shy. What about physical investments like property? Are they wise to have? I'm assuming you mean like buy to let, you buy, you rent out. I don't like, we don't have any property investment, so it would be unwise of me to speak on that. But yeah, I think there's a lot of wisdom out there. But no, we don't have any of that. But a lot of people do, so I'm sure you can. But yeah, I'm sorry, I don't want to tell you something that I don't have. Is life insurance worth it? Hey man, y'all don't want to talk about life insurance. What do you mean worthwhile? Like, as in, it's an insurance, right? Like I think it's similar to, because some people might say travel insurance isn't worthwhile. For me, travel insurance is worthwhile, 100%. Some people think it might say boiler insurance isn't worthwhile. For me, it's worthwhile. Like, what's the way I think about insurance is, what's the opportunity cost? Like, what is the opportunity cost? What's the, God forbid, and I know this is a very taboo subject, 100%. But I think opportunity cost, like what in any insurance that I do buy, what's the opportunity cost of me not having it? Is it very high? If it is, then I probably get it. But most of these things, if you're like, some employers provide this anyway. So yeah, definitely check with your employer, but always think about like the opportunity cost of not having insurance. And if it's not that high for you, fine, don't get it. But if it's high, I get it. Like, even like when you get car rental companies and they say, oh, there's an excess if you crash the car, 1,500. I'm like, yo, man. Sometimes I don't get it, being honest, but sometimes I do. It's just depending how I feel. What is a good match for your company to match? Y'all fine. PA is not even here to moderate the time, but it's fine. I reckon we have a couple of minutes left. What is a good match for your company to match? I think, honestly, as long as the company matches what you put in, I think that's good. Some people say even if they give you 1-2%, regardless of how much you put. For context, my company, minimum I could put in was 5%, but they only give me 3%. But I ideally want them to match exactly what I'm putting in. So yeah, I don't think there's a good match. I think that's just mine. I would like them to match exactly what I'm putting in so that I can get my 100% return personally. Yeah, Emma, you answered that question. Thank you. Hillary's question. And so can help children's spouse depending on who you put with. Yeah, you just set your beneficiaries, and then they get the money, God forbid. Yeah. Cool. Last question is, if I've spent a chunk of my credit card but have the money to pay it back, should I pay it all back as soon as possible or continue with installments? So just so I understand, you have cash on you have a credit card debt, but you can pay it back. I will pay that. I'll pay it back. If you have the money, 100% pay it back. 1,000,000%. Because it's just gonna accrue interest and minimum payments. Yes. So I think it's depending on what you mean by I have the money. If it's like it's just free cash, liquid, and you have it and it's not going to impact you, fine, pay it back. But yeah, because otherwise it's just there's just going to be a lot of interest coming out over time, and it's going to compound. So that will be my stare on it. But again, I think it depends on what you mean by having the cash. Oh, I think Hillary, that's a good shout to check the Slido. Thank you. Completely missed that. But I think that is all.
I've got a question, Damola. Sorry, I couldn't type fast enough. The back of that last question somebody asked about paying off debt. If you sometimes the debtor or the people, when you owe the debt, they say, oh, you can pay back if you want to settle, they can do a discount and it will come as partially settled. Do you recommend paying the whole amount or taking the discount? What's the impact of partially settled, or is there an impact?
Honestly, I actually don't know. Like, I'm not actually sure on the settle. Yeah, this one might be above this one might be actual financial advice.
No worries. No. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm not too sure on that. Sorry.
That's okay. No, thank you so much.
No, all good. Cool. I am going to close the floor in 5, 4. Guys, this bagel's cold, you know. This bagel's cold. I'm like, I looked at her, hey, this thing's hard, man. But Sha, you know me, I'm gonna eat it anyway. But guys, I hope you've been blessed. I've actually really enjoyed this last 4 weeks. I think it's been so dope. I've learned a lot and I've enjoyed spending time with you guys. So please, I hope you guys are blessed. Any questions, please feel free to just message me.